Welcome to the Audio Garden, where we cultivate our collective wisdom, nurture creativity, and spread love. My name is Martha Senator, and this is Listen and Be Heard.
Listen and be heard. What is a word and why should it be heard? If I read a word, am I hearing it?
In my novel, I posit that this artist who previously had made only color abstractions suddenly turned to painting figurative art because it was more direct for him to convey anti-tyranny messages by painting figures, for example, figures of
Lo de esta
victims of
tierra
tyranny.
desgraciada, con arte se saca al pez del mar, con arte se ablanda el hierro,
don't know or do know what
se doma la
mean.
mapa.
When we are old and other than
It's frustrating to think about the limitation of a worldview for a child. If you think about what you have knowledge of as a small child, like say you're 10, you see the world through your 10-year-old eyes. You've been where you've been.
Ear and vibrate through my inner plane, my biosphere, to each cell in my body. Can you hear
We the people have the power to be heard. So remember that. The time to act is now. It's time for social transformation.
Why not? That word, when uttered, those words put together carefully to mean what they don't mean and spoken with confidence. Can we measure those words? Are they real?
Welcome back to the Audio Garden, my friends. Thank you for joining me. I'm so glad to be here once again, and I'm really looking forward to welcoming back Elizabeth Perlman, who you probably remember from her intuitive writing project. And now she has a new book called Word Magic. And we're going to get into that and hear a little bit of the book and some of her poetry. And also, of course, in the second half hour, some new music that I guarantee you won't hear anywhere else. And that's, as always, brought to you by my co-host and co-producer, Hernán Ramiro. But first, we're going to remember someone special to Listen and Be Heard, and she is going to help us celebrate Black History Month, something that she was always very good at doing, as well as spreading Black history in North Carolina in general.
My poem is titled, I just wrote it a few minutes ago too, Black. The infinite beauty in God's perfect sight. Beautiful and black like the darkest night. Black will shine even without the stars radiating light. Black is beautiful. Black is a part of me. We are often overlooked. Black is one of the greatest creations that all can see. Black is when the footsteps made the escape at night. Step left, step right. Black signals the direction when freedom takes flight. Black and beautiful is how I poetically feel. Spoken word poetry at the Shakedown Lounge keeps it real. My Black is Beautiful, a brilliant work of art, loving all shades of blackness deeply in my heart that is indescribable with hope for the darkest skin. Our blackness is not a sin. Feeling confident about the skin I'm in, yes, confidence will always win. Words to make you blink, just enough to make him wink. The richness of Black History Month to make you all think. Happy Black History Month.
Crystal Colley, always remembered here at Listen and Be Heard, and you can find her in our archives at listenandbeheard.net. She was recorded live at the Shakedown Lounge in Henderson, North Carolina by Tony Robles. I'm so happy to welcome Elizabeth Perlman to the Audio Garden. You joined us many times during season 3 of the Listen and Be Heard Hour, and you featured so many wonderful young women who were reading their work, which came out of the Intuitive Writing Project. And now that work of yours has culminated in a beautiful book called Word Magic, The Power of Writing to Reframe Your Story and Reclaim Your Intuition.
Thank you so much, Martha. I'm so honored to be here.
Why was it important to you to be working with young women in particular?
There's a famous quote, I have it on my website and I'm going to forget the author, but they said, we must become the person we needed when we were young. I have basically created the program and I aspire to be the person that I needed when I was young, which is somebody to just create a safe space for young women, as I once was, to express themselves authentically and have their truth heard, validated, and celebrated, no matter what.
We're recording this a few days after the shooting of a woman in Minnesota.
Yes.
I think many of us are still reeling from the epithet that was hurled at her after being shot. Mm-hmm. What does that have to do with women's confidence and the reasons for cultivating our intuition?
Of course, as you know, it has everything to do with it. And it's one more knife wound in a lineage of at least 5,000 years of being called these horrible names, being silenced in so many different ways, mostly through shame. I think we've all been taught that there's something inherently bad or wrong or defective in us. I certainly absorbed it. I've had this conversation with my girls many times when they write about these feelings of shame, and I ask them to reflect, where do you think it started? It's like the air we breathe, the water we swim in. And it's manifested horribly in that moment by the man who murdered her. And he said one of many horrible things that is said to womankind. I think we've been internalizing it for thousands of years. As a result, we're all in this moment, women and girls all over the world are reclaiming their voices for the first time.
How is that possible now?
I think it's a combination of a lot of different things. I do think technology has a huge impact. You and I can have this conversation from thousands of miles apart. We can hear and see women's voices all over the world. And I think it's realizing that we're not alone. Going back to the witch hunts, that was all about divide and conquer. Pit women against each other, making us feel like we're by ourselves. Of course, everybody is weakened alone, but when we have solidarity, I think there's a growing movement of women realizing the power of sisterhood. We're still in the battle.
What was that word you just used? Witch hunt. It's 2 words, actually. I just have to proclaim that it really annoys me the way that's been co-opted because
I know.
Because how insulting can you get talking about a witch hunt when
oh my gosh,
whole villages of women were burned and otherwise dispatched?
Yes.
That's a witch hunt.
Yes. And I think a lot of people don't even really know the history. I had to independently research it. It wasn't something I learned in college or anywhere. I had to dig around and find books and do my own research. Again, social media, thanks to millennials and Gen Zers, are doing an incredible job.
But that was a bit of technology as well, because the Gutenberg press.
Oh, true.
You could call The Witch's Hammer the first best-selling book of all time. The first time books were replicated. And this is what they chose to replicate. That was the guide for the witch hunts. That was a product of the modern technology of the times.
Thought about that. You're absolutely right. Back to the present, we're seeing a lot of negatives from technology. The only positive I can see right now, and I tend to be resistant to it, but I see young women who have done research about, for example, the witch hunt. For example, that great book of midwives and healers, of midwives and nurses. And they talk about actually the witch hunts were the beginning of modern medicine.
Yes.
I saw a post on Instagram recently, a 20-something woman explaining that book.
Basically, the gaslighting of women's knowledge of medicine and the co-opting and then turning around and being like, well, you dummies.
Exactly.
Even
dummies.
Like Louis Pasteur. It's like that story I learned about how he discovered vaccination. Come on.
So much gaslighting from the very beginning. Now I can bring it back to my book.
Please do.
That's the power of writing.
Yes.
Because we are told stories, whatever you want to call it, gaslighting, manipulation, brainwashing, there's so many words for it. And we internalize them and absorb them, like that horrible insult from that horrible murderer and we take it inside. But what happens is all the stuff that we take inside when we write, we pull it out onto the page where we can examine it and think about it and reflect, do I still want to believe that about myself? My whole life thus far is examining all the beliefs that I've absorbed without thinking. It's unconscious. And then writing makes the unconscious conscious. So then we can decide if we would like to write a different story.
You have a degree in some aspect of this.
It's a very esoteric Bay Area degree that actually does not exist anymore, sadly. The university was bought out and they got rid of the program. The degree is a master's in transformative arts, the study of creative expression as a tool for self and community transformation. And the arts can be anything. I, of course, latched on to writing, but it can be dance, photography, music, drama, anything.
Interesting that that's for the self and the community.
Yes, it really is. And that's why I do the program with groups of girls. Anyone listening who loves writing, it is a solitary activity. And I do love, once you get into something and you're fully absorbed in it, you don't notice that you're alone. But it's so hard sometimes, first of all, making time to write because we live in such an external push-pull world. And then getting yourself to sit still long enough to get into it. I find that the most rewarding way of writing is in community. And not just for me, I'm an extrovert, so I love it, but even very shy, otherwise introverted young women love the experience of being in community, writing together, going in to the process together, and then coming out and sharing it. Because the other thing that happens, to the point that you made earlier, is because we've internalized all these negative stories. Every single girl and woman I've ever written with judges herself and her writing very harshly in the beginning. So harshly that it's almost excruciating.
Can you talk a little more about how that manifests?
The idea that they have anything to write. That's the biggest thing. And I can't tell you how many times I cry when I'm watching them read because it's so moving to see. I just get emotional just thinking about it. They come in and they say mean things about themselves. And I say, you know what, this is a space where we're going to just try to be gentle, try to accept ourselves as we are. And we're only going to comment on the strengths of the writing because that's all you need to know about is what's working. A lot of times they have trouble getting started. And there's a whole way I work around that. But once they write something, it's always amazing. I've never heard anyone write something in any of my classes that didn't inspire me, move me, make me cry, make me laugh, make me feel deeply. It's always incredible. But everyone always feels that it's not good enough or it's going to be bad. And they don't feel differently until they've read it out loud in community where everyone shares what they thought was authentic, powerful, or meaningful to them. Each person who reads hears from everyone about what they thought was uniquely meaningful. And it's miraculous. For women, there's tears, again, because we have more baggage. For girls, it's just a transformation of their energy. They suddenly sit up straighter, their heads lift up, their eyes get brighter, there's color in their face, they're smiling. They hold themselves differently because it's somebody showing you that what you have inside of you is important and it matters. And that changes everything.
This is the Listen and Be Heard Hour, brought to you by Listen and Be Heard Network, a project of Sound System Culture.
The more we listen to our intuition, the more it will be able to help us. Everything we encounter either gives us energy or depletes it. So it's about choosing the thing that makes you feel stronger, that restores your energy, that makes you feel most alive. Our power is in the present, the moment we commit to loving and trusting ourselves right now, exactly as we are. No matter who you are or what you have experienced, no matter what you have suffered, no matter what you have lost, nothing can change the truth of who you really are, an innocent, creative being, forever worthy of love, care, and thriving. Now, more than ever, The world needs us to realize our value and reclaim our intuition, which is the wisdom of our heart.
I'm so feeling the passion that you have for this subject. You have this very interesting degree, but in your book, you keep emphasizing not your authority, but your experience, that you went through this yourself and maybe continue to go through it. Like you said, we've been dealing with this for thousands of years, so we're likely to deal with it tomorrow too.
Yeah. And it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. It is the work of my life to process everything through writing and discover things through writing. And I know it's not the only method. I recommend everyone do whatever lights you up, whatever you're drawn to, go that way. You do not have to write. Only write if you enjoy it. But if you enjoy it even a little, and if you let yourself go a little bit deeper, I think you'll find, I call it magic. It's your own power and brilliance that will come out of you. Again, everyone I've ever written with, including myself, is surprised by what comes on the page. I don't know if you've ever had that experience where you may know what you want to write or not.
I've been doing this exercise. I call them stream poems. I started writing them around the time I left Greenville. And I just do one page and I start at the top. I might have a prompt, I might not, but I don't edit. So, and I can't cross anything out and I can't go back. I just have to keep going to the end. I'm not saying it's all great art, but it has drawn things out of me that have surprised me. You talked about magic. It's tied to intuition, which is central to your book. It's a beautiful book. It's not really the kind of thing that you just sit and read through from the first page to the last. You can dip into it and get inspiration, and there's exercises. So I think you would have to live with this book for a year or two, probably.
I love that.
You talked about the difference in the amount of brain cells people use with their conscious mind and their unconscious mind. And I did not know that little tidbit, but I think it probably is an important bit of information.
90% of our thoughts are unconscious. We all think we're aware of what's going on in ourselves, and we're really not. That's that idea of the unreliable narrator. However, as we're writing, I do think we become more conscious of things beyond the 10% that we're conscious of. We go into that other 90%. I think you're also referring to from the Princeton Research Lab that the rational brain can process 40 bits of data per second, which is a lot. But the intuition, the unconscious or the intuitive brain processes 40 million bits of data per second. So that's 1 million times more information. And in my experience, I tend to, because I'm not a clairvoyant or not exceptional, just winging it with my intuition. It's only when I write that I feel like I draw up that other information.
And that you feel some confidence, I think, in trusting that.
Yes. Okay, so here's a beautiful thing. There's a book called The Goddess versus the Alphabet.
I do have it actually behind me.
You know it?
I interviewed.
He talks about how language has historically been masculine. And anything that is written, going back to the printing press, the Bible, the witch's hammer, all of these things written by men, published by men, it has this automatic authority. Also, language, it is in the left hemisphere, so I tend to forget words, I think, because I have trouble accessing my left hemisphere sometimes. But there's two things that happen when you're writing, using words from the left brain about your feelings, you're using your whole brain. And in terms of trusting it, because we live in a very verbal, print-oriented culture, when you read your own words on the page, it gives them authority and also inherently makes them more rational than they seemed when they were just floating in your head.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep.
It is. You know, I write stuff so many times that I'm in a bad mood and I don't know why and I don't know what's going on and I'm so lost on a regular basis. And then I write and I don't even know what I'm writing. I'm just sort of spewing. Very much like what you're saying, what you described as that stream of consciousness writing is so powerful because you do tap into something when you don't edit, especially. You're 100% in that creative, intuitive brain. And so you're accessing that intuition. And every time I do that, I go back and read it. And it's almost like, who wrote this? I don't even know where it came from. And it almost always answers the question or provides a solution to the problem that I never would have thought of if I hadn't written about it.
You have this beautiful book called Word Magic, The Power of Writing to Reframe Your Story and Reclaim Your Intuition. I'd like to hear from you if there's something that you would like to convey to our listeners about this book.
The questions you've asked have taken it so much deeper than I've gotten to talk about it before. I think that I would just like to put a invitation out to everyone who's listening, whether you are very passionate about writing and you write all the time, or you are kind of neutral about it and maybe occasionally, regardless where you are on that spectrum, to trust that if you give yourself even 10 minutes of, I don't know how long you do. You said 30 minutes when you're doing this remote class. 30 minutes.
No, sometimes that takes me 5 minutes. Sometimes it takes me a long time to fill that page. And I'm allowed to stop.
Okay.
And sometimes there's this process where I feel like these competing thoughts.
Yeah.
So that in itself is illuminating. But sometimes it takes me a while before I can put another word down, and I try to keep that going because, again, I'm trying not to edit either before or after I write it.
That is hard not to edit.
It's not the time, it's the page.
That is related to Artist Way. I think she was the one who said morning pages, what you're describing is very similar to morning pages. She suggested 3 pages, which I think that's a lot. That takes a lot. I want to emphasize you don't need to spend a lot of time. If you're feeling at the beginning of, I may be interested in it, but it sounds daunting, reframe the story that it's daunting. Set your phone for 5 minutes. Oh my gosh, the time we spend on social media, you think it's going to be 5 minutes and then it's an hour and you lost an hour of your life. Just time yourself and say, I'm going to stop after 5 minutes and I just have to keep writing nonstop, like you said. Don't edit, whatever pops in your head for 5 minutes. And then I think the other part of this is when you finish, read it out loud to yourself. Because that's another thing that I've discovered. When we read things on the page, we're in our head. And the head is where the inner critic is. But there's something about the power of the voice coming up, hearing it in through your throat and your eardrums. It has, again, there's like an authority to it and a power to it. And it also feels really good. And I am 99.9% sure that something in that 5 minutes of time is going to come out that's going to amaze you, that you won't even know that you knew it. And if you read it out loud, you'll be able to hear it.
You have many writing prompts and exercises in your book. How can our listeners find out more about you, about your book?
Yes, I would love for everyone to visit me on our website, which is, it's 3 words combined into one, intuitivewritingproject.com. And then within the website, intuitivewritingproject.com/bookmagic is where you can see the book, but it's all over the website. I have free intro classes for anyone who wants to try a class, for women or girls. We serve age 11 and up, because I know it's scary. It's so scary at first until you do it. And so we want to get rid of, you don't have to worry about money. Just try it, see if it's a good fit for you, and then you can continue. But the first class is always free.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for sharing your wisdom, your words, your magic, your poetry. We really enjoyed your time here in the audio garden.
Thank you, truly, Martha. It was a great honor. Your work with Listen to Be Heard is so important, truly world-changing, and you are one of the best listeners. So thank you for listening and hearing me.
Wow, I appreciate that. We'll see you again soon.
Okay, thank you.
Once it's heard, it can't be unheard. Once it's published, it's not going to be unpublished. Once You read the poem, you can't unread it. No matter how an individual may try to push it to the side, forget about it, it's still in there. And it's the words, the meaning, the feelings behind it are taking root in their psyche, and they can't get rid of it.
I definitely don't believe in the banning of books. If anyone is having issues around language that might be in some of our classic books, I think that the perspective of explaining the era in which books were written during, also that even being a topic of discussion that could be very rich, is important.
Truly listen to. You know, you can feel when someone's deeply listening and we feel heard. We are healed in that moment. I think Eckhart Tolle wrote about this. There's some great quote, which I'm not going to remember, but something about there's healing in the process of being heard. Maybe you could track all of the world's problems and violent conflicts and everything back to people who did not feel heard. I mean, people who commit violence against others are always in pain. Hurt people. And so why are they in pain? I mean, there's a million reasons and all kinds of things, but at the very base of it is the longing to be heard. It's weird if you think about in our society that it's so rare. That should be the easiest, you're an amazing listener. That should be the baseline of everyone's experience, but it's not. And I remember when I first found you and I found Listen and Be Heard, and I told you this, that is the best name ever. And it's really, I think, what you have created is the recipe for human healing and revolution, which is to give everyone a chance to speak and be heard.
It's not too late for us. It's not too late. Ooh, it's not too late. It's not too late for us. It's not too late. Ooh, it's not too late. It's not too late for us. It's not too late.
I hope you're enjoying yourselves here in the audio garden with me, my friends. I'm Martha Senator, and I want to thank Elizabeth Perlman once again for joining us here in the audio garden. You're still going to hear a little bit of her poetry in the second half of the show, when we're also going to hear some new music, once again exclusive to the Listen and Be Heard Hour, brought to you by our national treasure. That's what some people have called him, and I have to agree. Hernán Ramiro Rodriguez Sierra, my co-producer, co-host, and an amazing composer who is also the sound designer for this show, and a multi-instrumental soloist. So that's a lot. And we're really lucky to have him here on the Listen and Be Heard Hour, bringing you original recordings from his travels around the world. Listen and Be Heard Network is a project of Sound System Culture. We're always commercial free, and we offer this programming free to educational community radio stations around the country. If you would like to support our efforts, you can go to listenandbeheard.net or soundsystemculture.world, and we're offering a free gift if you should decide to do that, which is a copy of Mark and the Queen Fish, a middle grade fairy tale by yours truly that will be coming out on Atmosphere Press in the summertime of 2026. Please stick around. Listen to the sounds of the audio garden, and we'll meet you on the other side of the bridge in about a minute.
doing? Hope everybody's doing great. This is Hernán Ramiro, formerly known as J. Rodriguez. We're going to fade that J. Rodriguez thing out very soon. It's Hernán Ramiro. And this is a new piece. You'll only hear it here. And dedicated to all our people. This is called Freedom, Equity, and Justice for the People song. Until further notice. So check it out. And it features Adam Clipple and J.T. Lewis and myself on tenor saxophone. Right on. Check it. And don't forget to support SoundSystemCulture.inc and Listen and Be Heard Network. All right, check it out. yes. That was Freedom, Equity, and Justice for the People song. Coming right up next is El Brujo, written by myself as well. I'm an alto saxophone, baritone saxophone, flutes, and moog bass, keys, Yasuyo Kimura on congas, Victor Rendon on timbales. Enjoy. That's El Brujo.
This is the Listen and Be Heard Hour, brought to you by the Listen and Be Heard Network, a project of Sound System Culture.
Today we'll be hearing an excerpt from our Intuitive Writing podcast in conversation with one of our brilliant 17-year-old writers, Jocelyn Grover, reading a part of her essay, Declaration of a Gen Z Stargazer.
The hunters of Artemis navigated by stars. Their sacred stories are folded into the network of lights we have gazed upon for centuries, these burning bodies of gas full of mystery. Before anything, these were the maps of the heavens. These were the gods. Now I look at the rectangular, shiny light held in the palm of my hand and wonder if this is my guide. Brilliance has been poured into this box. But what we so often find before our eyes, the infinite For You page, social media. Something so vapid, but profound, shallow, but cavernous, cruel, but kind. So confusing. There are endless statistics of how social media is destructive to teens. Young adults are 3 times more likely to suffer from depression if they use social media. I saw that one posted on someone's Instagram story. Gen Z will save us. Gen Z will be the end of us. As a victim and honeybee worker of social media, all I can really say is that it confuses me. At one moment, I watch a video of a screaming toddler cling to her father as she is separated from him while fleeing Ukraine with her mother. The father sobs silently and pats her head as they are pulled away from each other. I scroll down, and the next video is a blurred edit of a nightclub with girls in skimpy outfits and sparkly cowboy hats, dancing under disco lights, all while Habits by Tove Lo plays. The juxtaposition leaves me stunned. I don't know how to feel or what to do, but I am momentarily pulled away from my perpetual scrolling. Swipe, swipe, pause, swipe, ignore time limit. Social media is an endless rabbit hole of content. It is meant to intrigue, feed, comfort, and smother us until we cannot escape its grip. We sit in boxes watching thousands, millions of other small lights flicker in their boxes, but we feel alone. Everyone can admit this, yet we all log into our Instagram accounts each day. My generation has grown up with social media. Most of my youth has been documented by an iPhone camera. I can't really imagine a time without phones and social media, a fact that sometimes makes me sad and disappointed. Most adults aren't helpful. They love to talk about their generations and how glad they are that they weren't born in ours. When I was young, we used to go outside. We only had flip phones.
Of 13, if anyone's counting.
Messaging was the closest thing we had to social media. There wasn't so much obsession about appearances when I was in high school.
For no good
You'll destroy
reason,
your
except
neck sitting like that.
It was
Everywhere I go, I see kids on their phones.
Time, you know.
Does anyone even read anymore?
Everyone's starving.
Yes.
And besides,
I read.
He really
There's a whole community of people on
mother.
Instagram and TikTok
Bitches
that dedicate
be
their time to
crazy.
sharing their love
He
of
pounded
books.
his fist.
I feel a personal
issuing
connection
his
with these people I've never met.
Sumus
They are funny,
Deserantis
charismatic, and smart.
Effectivus, in which
I
he
love the same
declared
fandoms
that
as
women
them.
be
Do you even
bitches
know what a
and
fandom
bitches
is?
be witches
And
and
even if my
witches
neck
will
is in a
all
sloped
have to
position,
die.
I am laughing and
The
smiling
Pope was
when
so
I see this content.
excited. He took his
I wanna say
dudes
all
to
of this,
dinner.
but I do
Kramer and Sprenger
Social
were
media
fed the
is
best
not a box
boar
I open.
and asked to
Yet I
write
am
something
labeled
up.
Pandora.
They named their book Malleus Maleficarum, The Hammer of the Witches, and it became a runaway bestseller, an idiot's guide to global femicide. The church invented suffering, but then they had to explain it. Someone would have to be punished, and that someone would be female. And so the church invented evil. And then they added a D and invented the devil. And the devil was a woman, and the woman was bad. But evil is backwards for live, life inverted, and light denied. We were innocent in the garden till the church cut down the trees and pinned the blame on Eve. Such a clever trick of misdirection. Look over there, it's all her fault. One sleight of hand and they sawed her down the middle. For 300 years, the inquisitors prevailed, and the air was dark with burning flesh. Fear is so persuasive, and the terror was a plague embedded in the blood of all women. Self-doubt, self-loathing, and silent self-destruction. But then time passed. Time fades the lies once inked on paper, and only truth endures. Now it is time to grant our own reprieve, to let ourselves off the hook and down from the pyre. Now we can write our own books and make our own declarations. Now, as before, as always, we are innocent.
The sun is shining, even through, because spite of everything bad and good.
Listen
and
and
my
be
light
heard
is shining here
it's
now.
important to
Love
always
is not
hear
always
what everyone has to say
important, but
and to be able to accept other people's opinions
but we don't
as
know
well as being able to speak your own.
We the people of America, for real.
We the people of America are just surviving every day. Every day is new news going around.
I was so excited. That's why I'm so excited that you blended, that the courts and law has found a component where folks can really speak to communication and translation and linguistics for not just today, but had been working on this for 30 years. This is why I love the globe. You know, I love America, but I think that we're at a disadvantage. We have a lot of people who gatekeep information. TikTok is spilling with that. People need to be more discriminating, discerning. And when introductions are made, I'm an attorney or I'm a retired international specialist. This is what I've done for many years. Those things matter. I scrutinize always what I expose my students to. It's really, really difficult, and I'm just so honored and proud of you. A lot of folks are gatekeepers. They really think that this is information that should remain clandestine.
Judy Tologan, my co-host and co-producer of Beyond Borders, speaking with Olga Kavron, an expert on international criminal law and founder of Usticom. That's currently on our homepage at listenandbeheard.net. We also heard an essay read by Jocelyn Grover, student of Elizabeth Perlman at the Intuitive Writing Project. And this is Del Gonzalez.
It's really interesting having a father who is so engrossed in a history and promoting and uplifting voices from the past, particularly Filipinos in Louisiana. It's really interesting because when I was a kid, I was racialized very much as just generally Asian. We moved from Abu Dhabi to Louisiana, and when I moved to Louisiana and Pearl River, Louisiana, which is pretty rural, there was really only white kids and me and my brother. How they perceived us was just generally Asian. And I think because of that, I lost a sense of Filipino-ness. We would go to Filipino community events, but I would distance, and this is the story of many Asian Americans, I believe.
Del Gonzalez will be my guest next week in the Audio Garden. I'm really looking forward to welcoming him and talking about his theater work here in New York City. He's the son of Randy Gonzalez, who is a poet and author of Settling St. Malo. And Tony Robles interviewed him, I think it was back in season 2 of the Listen and Be Heard Hour, but do a search on him. Randy Gonzalez, very interesting, and you will find him in the archives at listenandbeheard.net. I hope that you'll visit us there. There's plenty to find. And you could also subscribe to our email newsletter because there's plenty more coming. And actually, it's growing as we have our 2 new interns here, Micah and Javier, who have been working hard. And I do believe that you will be hearing from them very soon. My little urban patio garden is bitter cold and covered in snow right now. But I am thinking about gardening, and I have a kitchen composter that I've been figuring out because I've changed from being a country girl to a city girl, and I can't just throw my scraps on a heap. And I know that New York City does compost now, but I want to create compost that I can keep for my own garden. So I've been doing that, and I had a nice little load of compost made, which I put into a compostable garbage bag. And I put that on top of a bunch of shredded paper in this compostable bag. And I set it out there on my patio for now with some potatoes that were sprouting and some garlic that was already sprouting. And I tied that up in the bag and set it out there on my patio to deal with when the snow melts away. And if I get really ambitious, I might put on my boots and shovel all that snow onto the beds that I started creating, the raised beds. And that way, when it melts, it will all melt into the beds as opposed to just running off the pavement and into the drain, which is part of creating new, beautiful soil that's spongy and absorbs water and has all kinds of good things in it for the plants to feed on. So that's my little report from Martha's Kitchen Garden. And here's a poem before we go. This one from a woman who was writing in the 12th century by the name of Mahadeviyaka on her decision to stop wearing clothes. Coins in the hand can be stolen, but who can rob this body of its own treasure? The last thread of clothing can be stripped away, but who can peel off emptiness, that nakedness covering all? Fools, while I dress in the jasmine lord's morning light, I cannot be shamed. What would you have me hide under silk and the glitter of jewels? A translation which I'm reading from the book, Women in Praise of the Sacred, edited by Jane Hirschfield. Thanks to all of our guests today here on the Listen and Be Heard Hour. We post the unedited full-length video interviews that we do with our featured authors here on the Listen and Be Heard Hour. We post them on our archives and also on our Listen and Be Heard YouTube channel. So if you would like to hear the full-length interview that I did with Elizabeth Perlman, as well as many others, and ones that Tony Robles did as well, please do visit us, and you will find them all there. I'm going to leave you with the wise words of another author we have featured, Laura Langnick, author of Agricultural Resilience.
The first rule is to create relationships of mutual benefit or reciprocal relationship. And so thinking through what that means very specifically is thinking through all the relationships in the food system and making sure that each relationship, both parties, are being cared for.
Thanks, as always, to Davian Dial at WPVM Radio in Asheville, North Carolina, for introducing Listen and Be Heard to the broadcast airwaves, KCEI in Taos, New Mexico, KEPJ in San Antonio, Texas, KHOI in Ames, Iowa, and KFOI in Red Bluff, California, and other stations that are part of the Pacifica Affiliate Network for cultivating the audio garden in your communities, and our own Listen and Be Heard Network, host of WLBH.org. Please visit us at listenandbeheard.net and sign up for our email newsletter, and at our Listen and Be Heard YouTube channel, where you will find unedited video interviews of our featured guests. My name is Martha Senator, and I want to thank you for listening and giving me the opportunity to be heard.